Hello, everybody. While we continue in Parshat Pekudai to read about the construction and putting together of the Mishkan, we find elsewhere in Torah an explanation of the purpose of at least two of the Kalim that we read about in our Parsha. In Sefer Vayikra, in the Parsha of Emor, we are explained first regarding the menorah, that its tachlis, its function was v'yichu elecha shemen zayid zach laha'alot ner tamid al hamenorah hatahora ya'aroch et hanerot. The menorah served the function as a base for the candles of olive oil, which would lighten up the Mishkan. And then thereafter, we are given explanation to the function of the shulchan, the placement of the lechem apanim on the shulchan hatahor. And therefore, because of the fact that the menorah came into use prior to the shulchan, the menorah from the very first day, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, that the Mishkan was fully functioning, the menorah was already kindled. With regard to the shulchan, the lechem apanim was first put on the showbread table only on the following Shabbat, as the Torah says, B'yom HaShabbat, Ya'archenu lifnei Hashem tamid. This is the explanation offered by the author of the Torah Temima in his Sefer of Perushim on the Torah, called Tosefet Bracha. Since the menorah came into active use first, its function was described first in Parshat Emor, and then only thereafter the Shulchan. It's somewhat puzzling because in our Parsha, we read first about the arrangement of the Shulchan and only thereafter the menorah. Vayiten et hashulchan ba'oil moed michutz laparochet, and afterwards the Torah tells us, Vayasem et hamenorah ba'oil moed nochach hashulchan. And in parallel, when the divine commandment regarding the building of the Mishkan is recorded in Parshat Truma that we read a few weeks ago, the same thing took place. V'asita shulchan atzei shitim, the shulchan is mentioned first, and only thereafter v'asita minorat zahav tahar. And so the Tosefet Bracha raises the interesting question, why is it that in some places the menorah precedes the description of the shulchan, and in others it's the shulchan that comes first? We know very well that the menorah symbolizes the light of Torah, and the shulchan symbolizes the parnasa of one's life. The Gemara at the end of Masechet Chagiga tells us that even the shulchan, which seems in our life to be a very material object, has a spiritual component as well. The Gemara at the end of Chagiga tells us, Bizman shebeit hamikdash kayam, mizbeach mechaper. During the time of the temple, then the altar in the holy temple gave effect to kapara, atonement, for the Jewish people. Achshav, but now in the aftermath of the destruction of the Batei HaMikdash, Shulchano Shel Adam Mechaper Alav. It's one's table that offers kapara, how a person conducts himself regarding material things in general, symbolized by the food that's placed on one's table, the chesed that one does with one's material objects that he possesses, his wealth, etc. All of that serves as a kapara when properly conducted by the individual. It brings to mind the minhag that's been recorded that the medieval Jews of Tzarfat, of France, used to fashion their coffins from the wood of their kitchen tables to symbolize that it should be as a zechut for them that they are buried in the very wooden planks that served as a table upon which they fed the poor and gave tzedakah. The Gemara in Masechet Psachim tells us that the concept of material consumption has this spiritual component. HaKohanim ochlim, when the Kohanim would eat their portions of the holy sacrifices brought in the sanctuary, the Ba'alim, the owners of said karbanot, would be mitkaprim, they would achieve atonement. All of us know the famous teaching in Pirkei Avot, Im ein kemach ein Torah, but im ein Torah ein kemach. This teaches us that both are important in the life of a Jew spiritually, and that one is dependent on the other. Both Limud Torah and one's activities in the material world. And it occurs to me, as we are on the precipice of celebrating Leil HaSeder and Chag HaPesach, that we have this combination on that holy night, Leil Hitkadesh Chag, as well. Rav Soloveitchik, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, points out that the Magid section is actually a fulfillment of Talmud Torah, and hence the drasha on the psukim of Arami Oved Avi, for example. And so we have the Ma'or HaTorah as a central motif of the Seder night experience. But there is a second motif that is its partner, and that is the Achilot mitzvah, the drinking of the 4 cups of wine, the consumption of matzah, the consumption of maror, the consumption of the afikoman, which for many is a symbolism of, and so too the korech perhaps, of the eating of the karban hapesach. So we have both the Or HaTorah and its kapara, and the kapara of food, of materialism as well. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.